Welcome to Free Discourse Radio. My name is Frank Davey. So today we're going to do a case study here. I'm going to talk about something that happened in Idaho to a 5-year-old girl because this information is just simply not getting out there, and it needs to. This is a devastating case, and I just want to go over some of the overview of all the facts and everything like that. So this article's from WND. This is out of Twin Falls County, dated the 6th of June, 2017. So a judge has sentenced 3 Muslim refugee boys in a sexual assault of a 5-year-old girl in Idaho, but nobody knows the length of the terms of the sentence because the judge has barred everyone in the courtroom, including the victim's own parents, from speaking about the case. The 3 boys, 2 from Iraq, ages 7 and 10, so we're dealing with 3 boys, and 1 is from Sudan, age 14, pleaded guilty in juvenile court in April to multiple counts of sex crimes in an incident that occurred last June in Twin Falls. So, the assault, it occurred at Fawnbrook Apartments in Twin Falls County, Idaho, when a 5-year-old girl named Jayla, who was developmentally disabled, was lured into a laundry room, stripped of her clothing, and sexually assaulted while the oldest boy filmed the entire incident. So, this went to trial, of course, and they were apparently sentenced without any official release of the terms of the sentence. So I just want to go through these articles here, talking about this and give some of my thoughts onto the strategy here. So Judge Thomas Borison was the presiding judge over the case. He is of Idaho's 5th judicial district. He issued a gag order preventing anyone in the courtroom from saying anything about the sentence received by the boys. He is allowing the family to speak about the case as far as saying that they are unhappy, which they apparently very much are, as we're going to get to. And yes, so the case is pretty much closed here. So going through here, we have the family attorney Mark Gurry, who came out and gave this statement to WND. Quote, "Sorry, I am forbidden by court order from discussing anything that has gone on in the proceedings, especially the outcome of the sentencing. This is a juvenile case, which by its nature makes it a closed proceeding, and the judge has made it clear again that anyone who discusses it to the media will be held in contempt of court. Sorry, but my hands are tied. All I can do is tell you that the parents were not satisfied with the results of the case. They were especially upset with the prosecutor's repeated statements in the media defending the juvenile defendants rather than focusing on the victim. I can't say any more." So, okay. So we got the family attorney coming out. The family is not happy with the results of this case. And I'm going to get to, because there was somebody of the 12 to 14 people who were present in the courtroom during the sentencing, did come out anonymously and tell reporters what the final judgment was, and that was apparently probation, no prison time, and these are boys we're talking about here, I understand, but I'm going to get to some of the other things that were involved in this case and why political correctness may be stopping our court systems now. We're talking about this happening in Europe. Now it's reaching here. And this case is 2 years old almost now. The sentencing just happened the other day, this week. So we have this guy, Matthew Staver, I think that's how you pronounce it. He's a chairman and co-founder of a non-profit legal assistance agency, Liberty Counsel, told WND that Judge Borison was completely out of line in issuing a gag order after the fact in a criminal case. And this is his quote here. Quote, "It's unconstitutional for the judge to do that. There are gag orders that can be put on people during a jury trial, or if it's a minor, they can prohibit you from mentioning the name of the minor, but they can't gag you after the fact," he said. Quote again, this is public at this point. This judge, it just seems like he's forgotten about the First Amendment in this case. He has no authority to do this, and he can't hold someone in contempt to keep them from speaking out about their displeasure with the case after the fact. So Staver, he commented that the case law is clear on the subject of gag orders. Quote, "That's a shame what happened to their little girl. This judge can't gag them. They can voice their displeasure all they want to. This judge can't do a thing to stop them." So this this gentleman here from the Liberty Counsel seems to be, and he is an attorney himself, because he says he feels very strongly about the issue of free speech in this case, that he's willing to take the family's case and challenge the judge's orders. He seems to think that it is unconstitutional to speak up about the favoring in the results of the case to anybody in the media or anybody in the public. And I'm not a lawyer myself or any of these things, so I'm not going to say I know for a fact that case law says this. But based on what he's saying here, I don't see how in any case you wouldn't be able to speak about something that happened, especially if you're the victim's family and the victim themselves. The fact that you are being threatened with jail time. I'm going to move on to another thing here with this former Obama-appointed U.S. Attorney for Idaho, Wendy Olson, in just a minute. But I like to be able. You should be able to speak out about what happened during the trial, particularly with some of the conduct of the prosecutor and the judge. And again, we'll get to all those in a minute. And this lawyer, Matthew Staver, seems to think that there's a case to be made here on free speech, and I certainly agree, as far as I can. So moving on to with this, we're going to go down to somebody named Wendy Olson, the former Obama-appointed U.S. Attorney for Idaho. She threatened to prosecute anyone who promulgated false or inflammatory information about the crime or the perpetrators. So anyone who speaks out, and we know how sensitive Islamophobia is now, and how the slightest criticism of the doctrines of this religion is considered inflammatory because it's Islamophobic or whatever. But this woman seems to go a little further and to say that anything that's deemed to be false or inflammatory about the case will see people, even the victim's family themselves, prosecuted for contempt, I would assume. It's ridiculous. And there's obviously something went down that the family is not happy about. And we have to remember that this is a 5-year-old girl that got sexually assaulted and will be scarred. Hopefully not, but we'll probably have to deal with this for the rest of her life. And the fact that the public can't be brought in on this, especially amidst all the policy decisions that lawmakers have to make from state to state about resettling refugees and accepting them into the country. This is something that needs to be known. And I don't want to politicize a case involving children and everything like that, but it really isn't about the politicization at this point. It's about awareness and transparency, so the public can make the right decisions with their lawmakers about whether it's really okay to have this many people come over to our communities who come from a different set of principles, a different law system, a different religion, a different culture, ultimately, and who may clash and hurt some of our people. And this includes all people of all religions that are already American citizens here. And, I'm talking about Muslims, I'm talking about anyone who is an American citizen who will be put in danger could possibly be put in danger by these massive amount of migrants that are coming and not assimilating correctly into our society. I remember a time when we made people learn English. We made them take a test or teach them about the Constitution and learn, have them appreciate our values here, because that's what's required for people from outside the country to assimilate into society and be able to function properly and to be able to raise their kids properly under our value system. That has to happen. There's no way around that. This multiculturalism in general, I don't want to rant and rave too much yet. You'll get more of this but after I finish here. But here, we're going to move on, actually. Let's just do it. So, all right. Let me see here. So, hold on one moment. Okay, so yeah, 12 to 15 people were in the courtroom for sentencing, and one of them leaked the outcome to this person named Geller. who was in the press, I believe. It doesn't actually... The article I'm reading here doesn't actually specify who this person is, but all right. But this person Geller, who's in maybe they work for WND or something, was told by somebody who was a part of this in the courtroom during the sentencing, said, quote, "And the more I heard, the more I understood why this judge wanted to keep all proceedings secret," she said. On Monday, the perpetrators were sentenced, and the final injustice was done to this poor girl. The criminals, because of what happened to the little girl, contradicts the politically correct narrative about Muslim migrants. So, that's another quote from Geller, who was told this by one of the people who went to the court case, who witnessed the judge's proceedings. And they also said, quote, this is from Geller again, "After this love fest, which lasted for 5 hours in the courtroom, all 3 boys were sentenced one after the other." She continued, "All 3 were given probation. They were not found guilty of rape, but of sexually lewd conduct." Okay, Geller also added that every time the family's lawyer, Guri, tried to speak up, he was silenced. The 5-year-old victim, Jayla, was never mentioned by Kroger or the judge. Kroger is the prosecutor. Or by the police. Quote, Janice Kroger, this is from Geller again, "The senior deputy prosecuting attorney who was supposed to be trying these boys for their crimes defended the boys repeatedly and attacked Lacey, the victim's mother. A therapist for the boys was present, as well as the parole officer and a detective. Everything that was said was designed to portray the perpetrators as victims. Throughout the proceedings, they were repeatedly called victims." That's pretty backwards. The girl is a victim, I would think, right? Because she was the one that was urinated on and sexually assaulted by these boys. So how exactly are the other boys victims in this case? What made them victims? So, continuing on here, Lacey, in her statement to the court, described how Jayla is still struggling with trauma of the attack, wetting the bed and having bad dreams, among other issues. That's to be expected. It's a child. And she just went through probably the most traumatizing attack that a child can go through. And, quote, yet when Lacey completed her statement, Kroger lashed out, not at the... Lacey, what's the last name? Lacey Peterson is the mother of Jayla Peterson, who's the little girl. So the mother, Lacey, testified, and this is what came out from the insider at this courtroom. Quote, yet when Lacey completed her statement, Kroger lashed out not at the perpetrators or their parents, but at Lacey, Geller writes. She viciously tongue-lashed Lacey for a full 15 minutes until the judge had to stop her. Jesus. All right. When the refugee boys pleaded guilty in April, Twin Falls County Prosecutor Grant Loeb said, "I am pleased that we were able to resolve this case in a way that was approved and agreed to by the victim's family. This continues to be a serious and sad case, but it was resolved properly." Geller says nothing that could be farther from the truth. That's what Geller said, that nothing could be farther from the truth than what that prosecutor said. She says, quote, "The resolution of this case was not accepted by the victim's family, was not resolved properly." Okay. So, meanwhile, the family is struggling to meet its expenses after having to leave the low-income apartment complex where they lived until their daughter was attacked. They were forced to live in a hotel for 2 months until they could find suitable living arrangements. They also have counseling expenses for the daughter and legal fees, which I don't even want to know how much that amounts to. They have a GoFundMe account going. I don't have the link, but I will get it and put it in the link below. But they have raised $75,881 to the date of this article, 6/6/2017. So, yeah, so the family's dealing with all these expenses. They pretty much got embarrassed and publicly humiliated during the court proceedings. We're going to move on to some other things. We're going to move on to other things involving this case that will also show you that the family is continuing to be harassed and publicly humiliated because of something that happened to them. So this is another article. This is from April the 11th of 2017. The title is U.S. City's Jaw-Dropping Response to Muslim Sex Attack on a Girl 5. So the city apparently had after this attack happened, they had I don't know if it's related to the attack or not, probably not, but they had a hearing at their town center, the city council chambers, where a bunch of people from the community came and gave their case to why or why not they agree to their city or their county being a welcoming county or city, quote unquote. When that's the actual name for it. It's a step below sanctuary status, is welcoming status, which still means that the city will not cooperate with federal immigration laws and federal agents that are trying to go and deal with these cases of illegal immigration and with towns that are harboring immigrants that are not assimilating properly. So the article starts out, this is from WND again. Boy Scouts and their parents filled the city chambers in Twin Falls, Idaho on Monday, April 10th, to show their support for refugees being resettled from Sudan, Iraq, and other Muslim countries. So, yeah, so the Boy Scouts, the local troop, went into the council chambers to advocate for resettling refugees in their parts. Their parents followed them and also followed suit and helped advocate. This is 1 week after the three refugee boys attacked that girl in that laundry room at that apartment complex. This is 1 week after these hearings started, and the council voted 7-0 in favor of drafting a resolution to declare Twin Falls, Idaho, a welcoming city after hearing a pitch from the local Boy Scouts. And they were sponsored by the Mormon Church. That's interesting. Listen, I'm sure the kids are well-intentioned with this and stuff, but I don't think it's far-fetched to say that they probably don't know what they're advocating for. And I believe the adults, maybe the parents don't either, but the adults responsible for giving these boys this project, quote-unquote, should probably know much better. But let's move on to some other information we're being told here. So, so they agreed, and the pitch, the resolution will resettle people in the area of the College of Southern Idaho. Not all residents were for the idea of making Twin Falls a welcoming city. Quote, by putting people into different categories instead of all residents, we are setting aside a precedent that we're all created equal with equal rights, the local property owner Terry Edwards told the council. Quote, it's surprising, he continued, quote, it's surprising to me that we have a scout troop here that are in favor of a refugee center, and I don't know that they know a whole lot about it. The article continues, Lacey Peterson, the mother of the 5-year-old special needs girl who was sexually assaulted at Fawn Brook Apartments last summer, told WND she was concerned. Quote, I am kind of concerned that they are pushing the city to be a welcoming city. I think it would be best for the refugees before they come to our city to learn about our laws and regulations before they come in and to be taught American laws, she said. And she said, even after this attack, she's not even saying anything overtly Islamophobic or anything of that sort. I mean, I don't know how I would react, but she's saying that she's just simply saying that there needs to be proper vetting and that we shouldn't accept in hundreds of thousands at once, where it's impossible for them to even assimilate into these communities. Continuing on, declaring a welcoming city is one step below sanctuary city, as I said before, which is defined by its policies of not cooperating with federal immigration agents to enforce federal immigration laws. Now, we know that that's what happens when a city declares sanctuary city status. Welcoming city is just a step below that, which means there will be hesitation still to cooperate with federal immigration laws. Okay, Dr. Mark Crandall. Okay, we're going to get to something. We're going to get into the heart of this crap. Dr. Mark Crandall also addressed the council Monday night, and he sent a letter to Councilman Greg Lanting that explains the Boy Scout troop's desire to help refugees. Okay. And this Councilman, Lanting, is mentioned here that he is a councilman who was caught spreading false and malicious rumors against the family of the little girl who was sexually assaulted. Lanting said in a Facebook post that the girl does not live with the father, and the father, as far as I know, is not even involved with the child. Both of these statements were false, and Lanting ended up having to apologize to family. I don't know what the hell that would mean anyway, if that was true. She still got assaulted. And I don't see what does that add to the case. Let's continue. On Monday, LDS parents and relatives of the Boy Scout troop filled the council's meeting chambers along with the leader of Idaho's Dairymen's Association, local doctors, teachers, and attorneys who all spoke in favor of more refugees. Okay. Dr. Mark Crandall, this gentleman, I'm trying to figure out who he is and what his, give me 1 second here. Oh, man. I wish I would explain this at the beginning of the article, who this guy is. Okay, oh, yeah, so Crandall is part of this Boy Scout troop, apparently. Okay. Yeah, Dr. Crandall, he's a physician, he's part of the group, the Boy Scout group. I think he leads the Troop 4, which is a particular Boy Scout troop who went into the council chambers to advocate for refugee resettling. Dr. Crandall addressed the Twin Falls City Council in support of refugees on April 10, 2017. This is what he said, quote, "Our refugee center is one of only 2 centers in Idaho. It's been in our community for almost 30 years, and it's provided through the United Nations. A new start for people coming here," Crandall told the council. He continued, "I grew up in Twin, which is a city, and I've always felt safe. I have always felt welcome, and I hope that Twin Falls will pass a resolution reaffirming that we have always been a welcoming city and will continue to be so, and that we value all of our residents regardless of their refugee status, immigration status, or religion." Okay, so so he gave a generalized political statement there in favor of accepting refugees, not taking into account any of the micro cases that have happened, not just in the United States, but taking a look at what's going on in Europe. You have to be completely oblivious not to know this. And he might be oblivious. Maybe he doesn't understand that Europe is literally who has accepted way more refugees than we have, and we might be heading in that direction of accepting more refugees, depending on who gets into office, or if Trump plays ball, or or anything like that. He's basically saying, we've always felt safe, I've always felt welcome. Yeah, that's nice and dandy for you, but I don't know if the victims of these crimes would necessarily feel safe themselves. If, especially the fact that the community won't rally behind them. Instead, they'll rally behind people who committed the crime. That's preposterous. So, okay, continue, let's see here. Okay, so Crandall blasted those, continuing with the article here, Crandall blasted those who were outraged by the refugee assault on a small girl at the Fallenberg Apartments as an out-of-state anti-immigrant advocation, and thanked the council for his measured response to the crime. He also said they do not represent our values of a city. You know, Crandall, try not to show too much how little of a shit you give about what happened to this girl, and whitewash this shit, and say that any outrage to what happened and how the justice system responded to it is just simply an out-of-state anti-immigrant advocate group, and I guess he considers a measured response by the council to be to allow even more people who may commit crimes like this in the future. I really don't want to say that I don't, again, like I say in every video, that I don't mean all Muslims are criminals and will do crimes like this. But there is a trend to this. Look at Europe. Look at Rotherham. Look at Luton. Look at all the towns and cities across Great Britain, Germany, and Sweden that are dealing with no-go zones, Sharia police, extremism that's being exported from mosques that are being funded by Salafists and Sunni Islamist groups. Just look at those cases. Look at the terrorist attacks that are happening, suicide bombings. It's starting to get out of control over there now. We haven't accepted as many refugees yet, so we're not going to see it to the same extent, but it is starting to. We're seeing close to the same set. This is a 14-year-old boy and a 10-year-old and 8-year-old, right? Is that what it was? Let me see here. Yeah, okay, I'm sorry, let me get this other... Oh, I got 3 articles in front of me here. Yeah, okay, so from Iraq, ages 7 and 10, and age 14. The 14-year-old filmed the incident, And while the other two stripped the girl of her clothes, urinated, I guess, in her mouth is what they're saying here in this article, and did all kinds of other sexual things. And this apparently doesn't resonate the fact that these were kids themselves that did these grotesque things. Where do you hear about this happening in our country, in cultures outside theirs? I don't see it. You know? This is a horrific crime, and there are crimes being committed by people who are adults in Europe that are just as horrific. Just look, you don't have to even take my word for it, just go and Google it. It's on the internet now, it's on YouTube. There are plenty of people on YouTube that are covering these cases, that are laying it out in detail on the screen for you. Facts in front. Take a look at it. And it's not even an argument for me to say that that we should never accept any more Muslims into our country again. No, I'm not saying that. It's just not feasible to think that we can resettle a bunch of people that are coming from war-torn zones, millions of people. We can't possibly resettle all of them at once and hope to assimilate them into our society. It's not happening. There are ghettos being erected all over Europe. There are no-go zones where the police are afraid to even go in and go to these houses where a lot of Muslim unemployed males are hanging out, doing drugs, inviting girls, young girls, to those who are vulnerable to those homes, giving them alcohol and drugs, and raping them, and prostituting them. Look at these cases. Like this has horrified me to the point where I literally don't even know what else to do besides screaming to this mic over this. Because people, I'd at least be able to find some comfort if the people of these communities would stand up for their own neighbors, rather than advocate for accepting thousands and hundreds of thousands of people from a different part of the world who are coming here and committing crimes like this. That's not the only crime. Look into it yourself. So let's continue here with this. Okay. So, all right. Many refugees in Twin Falls, they work at this place called Chobani, which operates the world's largest yogurt plant there and uses refugee labor to fill 30% of its positions at the factory. Okay, now we're getting into some of the nitty-gritty of why maybe some people would advocate for this. Let's continue. The leader of the CSI Refugee Center told Crandall that the best thing his troop could do is to help resettlements continue in Twin Falls and to publicly advocate for the refugees. That infuriated one leader of the local refugee opposition, who sees the program as lacking in transparency and also lacking in sufficient vetting. The program operates completely unaccountable to the local tax-paying citizenry, and this comes from Julie DeWolf of Twin Falls. She said that she was appalled by the fact that not a single member of Twin Falls City Council could tell they were being manipulated into adopting the welcoming resolution. This is a local saying this. What a clever and sneaky way to accomplish one's globalist agenda. To get kids involved, this is a quote from her, to get the kids involved working on on service projects, and the parents will follow, nonetheless, follow these opinions. She says to Julie DeWolf of Twin Falls says here, let me see, she's talking to WMD here about this. Okay, continuing here, the boys of the little girl, the family of the little girl is still considering filing a civil suit against the families of the refugee boys and possibly against the College of Southern Idaho, which places refugees from several third world countries into the Twin Falls area. So yeah, these advocacy groups, including this Boy Scout group, who is coming out and advocating on behalf of other advocate groups, including the College of Southern Idaho, who are responsible for placing these refugees in the area where this girl got attacked. So this happened because they were allowed to be resettled, and this would not have happened if there was proper vetting, probably, and maybe even not allowing people to resettle in these regions. based on the fact that we cannot vet them, and they do not simply have the same values as the people who are living in those towns. You can look across the world. Here in Europe, again, we should learn from their mistakes that the government has made, their governments have made over there, and we should look at them and see that these crimes are being committed by many people, and that this is not only a isolated incident, but it's a fucking trend, frankly. Okay? Like, I'm going to continue here. WND previously reported that the girl's family had endured nearly 10 months of public shaming and downplaying the crime by powerful elites who support continued refugee settlement in Idaho and nationwide. Cases like this are just going over their heads. They're numb to this shit. They're numb to the stuff that's happening to people. The sexual... this is continuing in the article. The sexual assault that was all but dismissed as a minor kids will be kids type of incident by the county prosecutor, Greg Loebs, who was supposed to be prosecuting these boys, while others, such as former Idaho Supreme Court Justice Jim Jones, tried to insinuate that the incident never happened and was merely a fake news story concocted by WND and Breitbart News. See, this is why we have to talk about these, be able to talk about these cases in every single detail involved, because there are people that will politicize this to advocate for more refugees being resettled. They're advocacy groups that are going to use this stuff anyway. And the opposition groups not having access to the information of these cases and to how the justice system is responding is going to ultimately hurt us in properly legislating to protect our communities. All right, this is where... all right, so this is a part that I marked, highlighted on the... one of the many parts I highlighted on this article, and I got a little exclamation point next to it, and I'm going to read it to you. Retired Idaho Supreme Court Justice Jim Jones trashed WND and Breitbart News as reporting so-called news, quote-unquote, on the refugee sex crime in Twin Falls. Jones, speaking at a Rotary Club meeting in Twin Falls in January... let me restart that, sorry, can't read. Jones, speaking at a Rotary Club meeting in Twin Falls in January, referred to the sexual assault as so-called news and being fabricated by WND and others. What the hell? That's all I can say to that is, what the hell? How could you, the case happened as it wasn't a fake case, it wasn't a fake proceeding. The proceeding happened. That's recorded at the very least, and the parents are coming out and speaking about how troubled they are by how the justice system responded. Okay. In fact, Jones expressed more concern for the Chernobyl yogurt and the business community that makes use of refugee labor than for the 5-year-old girl who was sexually assaulted. Isn't that fucking great? Let's advocate for the business community over and shit talk a case involving a 5-year-old child who was sexually assaulted. What the hell does that tell the public? What precedent does that set? No longer forced to be silent, Jones, 75, has a lot to say, especially about refugees and the so-called news that has caused a lot of trouble for businesses like Chobani, and the College of Southern Idaho's refugee program. These refugees need safe haven, and they should be welcomed here. Oh, fucking nice. The refugees need safe haven at the expense of the safety of American citizens already living in those communities. Isn't that dandy? And we can go and pat ourselves on the back for being such accepting and opening people while we look away from the brutal cases involving sexual assault and things. Let's just forget that shit happened. Jones calls out Breitbart News, WorldNet Daily, and others. Sorry about that. That was my phone going off. Jones called out Breitbart News, WorldNet Daily, and others, saying that he says have played a fast and loose with the truth and should not be regarded as credible. As far as I'm concerned, WND and Breitbart, I looked at the Breitbart report as well on this. They're just putting out information that no other news organization will put out. They are not saying that Muslims are all bad people. They as a matter of fact, I'm going to get onto this other article here, released by the Idaho Statesman news organization, and about anti-Sharia rallies that are going to be planned across the United States. There are probably groups that you could say are pretty hateful, of course, but a lot of these people are concerned citizens that are worried about the growing Sharia problem and the growing the growing advocacy for these programs that are allowing refugees to come and continue as they were in their former countries, which should not be allowed in any of the sense. They should be assimilated properly, and they should be following our values. They should respect the Constitution, learn our language, and all the other guidelines that have been set by the federal government that we already know exist. The law is the law. And I don't know what leftists are seeing, but they're not seeing what's happening here. They're not even seeing that these more hardline people that are coming into these communities will change the rules of Muslims across the United States that are already living there. And I'm still going to say this in every video, that I still worry about those groups themselves who want to leave those countries and practice freely here, and not, again, my phone, and not have to deal with hardcore Sharia law and advocates for it that want to implement rules like this in their communities. This is happening. Look up the stuff for yourself. Google it. Go on YouTube. I can't say it enough. This is being documented by alternative media because the mainstream media won't cover it. So, unfortunately, I still have a limit on this Spreaker Studio thing. It limits me to 45 minutes an episode, so I can only do another 8 minutes here. So I'm probably not going to get through this article in its entirety about the anti-Sharia rally. So I'll make a part 2 to this video here. So I'll conclude about the two videos, the two articles we just went over here. It seems the family has been publicly shamed for something that happened to them, and because they want to express a little bit of concern about the continued carelessness by officials in their town, officials of these advocacy groups who are showing up to all these meetings and shouting down people like this girl's family and other concerned citizens who have every right to be concerned about this ordeal. Anyone who comes out, they're basically, and any media organization that stands up for these people that are speaking out against it are just being labeled as Islamophobic and fake news, and will go even at somebody who is supposed to be renowned and responsible in their position. This what's his name here? This Jim Jones of who was a retired Idaho Supreme Court justice. Who is basically saying that the case, he's going as far to say the case is non-existent. that it didn't happen the way that is being said. Well, do tell how you think it happened then. Come out and tell us what happened in this case if it wasn't a sexual assault. Okay? We are talking about boys that committed this crime, but we wouldn't just let it go and not hold them accountable, even though they are young kids. Like, the oldest boy, 14 years old, he taped it. He taped the incident. While these two kids, apparently knew enough about, knew enough to urinate and do all these things that I'll let you look up for yourself, all the gruesome details. I've already said enough of the gruesome details of what happened to this girl. You know, where are they getting this from? How do they know about all this stuff? They're only 7 and 10 years old. Why are they luring? They lured the girl into this laundromat, and that was part of this complex. They lured her in, so that suggests there's some form of premeditation. We have to really look into this. We have to look at it objectively. I'm not saying let's go against all of Islam, but let's speak out against the principles that they want to teach their kids. Let's speak out against the fact that they want to continue business as usual in our communities, like they were back in their Sharia territories. We shouldn't stand for this. We shouldn't be afraid to speak out against it again. Do more research on this. I highly advocate you do so. Look into Tommy Robinson, Rebel Media, Sargon of Akkad, the Iconoclast, who have all done detailed, many more, who have done detailed analytics on the cases and on the micro situations that are happening to people. The stories are out there; they exist, and there are victims telling them. Look at the stories, and you tell me whether or not you think that we really should be so enthusiastic to the point where we are cutting out any form of opposition to this. I'm not surprised that people would want to see more of this come into their towns. And it's not just the sexual assaults, it's just in general. We don't want Sharia courts being erected where they handle their own cases. No, there's one authority, and that is the Republic. And there's a reason for that, why the use of force and the authority of bestowing punishment on criminals after they are properly proven to be guilty in a court of law. There's a reason why the state is only responsible and solely responsible for that happening in the U.S. We don't want all these other jurisdictions popping up based on religion. We shouldn't advocate for that. We don't let the Christians do that, and we shouldn't allow Muslims to do that either. So this is what's going on in Idaho right now. The information is not getting out there at all. Mainstream media is more worried about Russia conspiracies and how much Donald Trump is doing bad in his less than 200 days in office so far, which is complete bullshit in itself. Now, I don't want to go into advocating for Donald Trump again now, but I'm going to say that he has already put forward a solution, which is a temporary travel ban on Muslim countries that are hotbed for Muslim extremism and Muslim radicalism. To me, that's common sense, and I am on board with that. It's a temporary ban. It's not something that we're forever going to shut ourselves from the Muslim world. No. But we don't want to endanger our kids and our people for the sake of multiculturalism and patting ourselves on the back with acceptance and tolerance and we love all people, and we love our community to be, we love when our community is diverse and when people are accepting. I'm for that as well. I want us to have harmony with every group, the black community, and the white community, and the Christian community, with the Muslim community, and everything in between. Of course, we want people want to work with freedom-loving Muslims and Muslims who want to worship in peace and not stand for, like, if I was a Muslim myself, I would want to stand against these attacks and all these groups that are advocating to bring in more people who are radical and are more, I guess, right-wing, if you want to say, in their beliefs, and want to instill control and allow attacks to happen to non-Muslim girls. And there are many Muslims that already are speaking out. And don't want this to represent their community, and don't want this to take over their community, which they are afraid of, because the more of these radical imams that come through, the more people who are going to be radicalized. Like, do the math yourself, do the common sense yourself, write it out on a piece of paper if you have to, of how this could happen. But yeah, so I'm going down on 2 minutes here. So basically, I'm going to make another video about this other article here about anti-Sharia rallies that are going to be planned across the U.S. And this is an article dated June 9th from the Idaho Statesman, and in response to what's been going on recently up there. And yeah, so okay, I'll go over that in that video, and I'll see you then when you tune into that. I hope you do. And I highly recommend you don't take my word for any of this. I highly, do your research, do your own research. I can't advocate that enough. Don't just listen to talking heads. Don't listen to just me. All right, I'm just trying to get you aware of what's being of what's happening throughout our country and throughout the West when it comes to this stuff, and among all other things that I cover. I'm just trying to get you to realize and to understand what's happening, and to give you a foundation to go and do your own research and become informed, better informed yourself as a citizen. So thank you for tuning into Free Discourse Radio. This is a gruesome case, I know, and is why I want to speak out against it. So tune in next time, and I'll see you then.